Hello students, I hope you are all fine and in good health. In this particular audio presentation, I will critically discuss a few important points related with the poem Aunt Jennifer's Tigers. Remember, this poem is based on feminism and it also exposes the atrocities faced by Aunt Jennifer, and also it exposes the cruel patriarchal system that exists in our society, and how Aunt Jennifer, despite her artistic talent, how she was exploited, subjugated, and discouraged not to pursue her artistic talent by her husband. And despite all the hardships, despite all the struggles, she had did the embroidery related with the tigers, and the embroidery along with that, she wanted to project her own mind, her own self. Though she was timid, she was very scared of the orthodox patriarchal male society, but she projected her created tigers to be ferocious and courageous, unlike the creator, that is, Aunt Jennifer. In order to know in detail more about it, let us come to the critical analysis of the poem. The speaker describes the tigers, which her aunt produced by using colored threads on heavy cloth. And the important thing is, another important thing, dear students, is that Aunt Jennifer, she was capable of doing excellent embroidery work. But the important thing is that never ever her husband motivated her. Rather, her husband used to torture her a lot. And her repressed femininity, her struggle, and her raising of her voice. Now, all those things were actually expressed by her in the form of the embroidered tigers that she created. So, they were set in motion. They were moving quickly by raising the front legs and jumping on the back legs. In the green jungle, they look bright yellow and as valuable as topazes, which reveals her dream of a happier life in her needlework. Now, the important thing is that she herself was very timid, meek, and mild. She never used to raise her voice. She was a very submissive kind of a lady. Not only she was a submissive kind of a lady, she was very docile also. But she raises her voice, her opinions with the help of her created tigers. And the tigers, they were roaming ferociously and courageously in the green jungle. They were unaware of the human presence, of the human intervention. That means Aunt Jennifer, though practically she was not vocal, she was not aggressive, she haven't raised her voice practically speaking, she never did that. But with the help of her created tigers, she actually exposed her pent up feelings and emotions, that her rebellious mind, it was reflected through her creativity. I repeat one more time, dear students, her rebellious mind was reflected through her needlework, or rather to say through her embroidery work, or through her creativity, in the form of ferocious tigers roaming around in the jungle courageously and fearlessly, unaware and unhindered by human intervention as such. In the green jungle, they means the tigers. They look like bright yellow in color and as valuable as topazes, which reveal her dream of a happier life in a needlework. And it seems that it was a pleasurable occasion for Aunt Jennifer, but she used to get less amount of time in order to pursue her hobby, her creativity. But whenever she did, she used to create many beautiful things. And remember, another important thing is that with the help of this embroidery work, she indirectly used to give a message to the society also against the dominant, aggressive, patriarchal male society, orthodox patriarchal male society. I'm moving on to the next paragraph. There are men sitting under the tree. I've said already the tigers are ferocious, they are courageous, they are least bothered, unhindered by human presence or human intervention. They are men sitting under the tree, but the tigers, they do not care for them. They move on to their goal boldly and smoothly. Now, the tigers, they are moving around, they are roaming around, and they are moving towards their target, or they are moving from one part of the forest to another part in a courageous manner, boldly and smoothly, as this has been depicted in the needlework, in the embroidery work that was being done by Aunt Jennifer. Jennifer finds it difficult to make pictures by using the ivory needle. She is tired of doing the household work after she got married. Obviously, because every time she used to be exploited by her husband, and she used to be tired by doing all the household work. Never ever her husband encouraged her at all. He discouraged her every time, and he used to consider Aunt Jennifer as his slave. Now that is the very unfortunate thing. She can't get herself involved in her artistic work because she used to be very tired after her household activities. Now it was very difficult for her, after completing her household activities, to be involved in her artistic work. She has to do it in her leisure time. So whenever she used to get a free time, away from the prying eyes of her husband, she used to do it. Even then, she has to be sure whether her husband is watching her or not. That is the reason I told that, far away from the prying eyes of her husband. Even when she used to get a leisure time, she used to do her embroidery work, but at the back of her mind, she used to be very cautious that whether her husband is watching her practicing this embroidery work or not, because she was very scared. So her hands are terrified. That is the reason her hands used to tremble. She used to shake a bit. Her hands used to shake a bit because of this reason. She will not be free from fear until she dies. That is the sad part. She won't be free from fear until she dies. Even after her death also, while she will be lying on the coffin, she will be wearing that wedding ring. And that actually suggests that even after her death also, she will be dominated. It seems so, ironically speaking, because the wedding ring or the wedding band will be still on her hand. So she will not be free from fear until she dies. She will be dominated by her husband. Yes, throughout her lifetime, she will be dominated by her husband every time. That is the reason I already told you all that this poem is related with the orthodox dominant patriarchal society, and how the women, despite they are very talented, are tortured, exploited, and subjugated by the male members, who consider them not as their companions, as partners, but as their slaves. She will die, but her art will express her desire to move proudly and fearlessly like the tiger she has made. She will die one day, but her created tigers will actually speak out forever. Speak out her repressed voice. It will get a voice, it will get a new dimension, because her created tigers will remain forever. Though she will die because she is mortal, but her created tigers will, that means the art will attain immortality, and the tigers will move around proudly and fearlessly, as been projected in that particular embroidery work that was being done by her. Aunt Jennifer's hands are terrified because of the massive weight of household duties. So that is the reason, because of excessive pressure of the household duties. They are heavily pressed. They have undergone severe trials. Now each and every moment she had to give a lot of trials, okay, to prove that she is very dutiful, very obedient, and all this. She is dominated by her husband continuously. I already told you, patriarchal society. This is a poem that is based on feminism and a voice against the orthodox cruel rule of the patriarchal male society. So the important thing is that she is dominated by her husband continuously, and throughout her life, as long as she will remain, she will be dominated by her husband. Fingers fluttering, ordeals mastered, hard to pull indicate her fear. All these lines will be are there in your poem, which later I will also explain. Here I quote: ordeals mastered, hard to pull. All these things. See, these lines are in quotations. All these things indicate her phobia. All these things indicate her fear of her mind. By mentioning that it is Uncle's wedding band, the poet suggests that Uncle owns Jennifer too, and that as a female she is the property of her husband. That is the reason I told you all, dear students, that Uncle Jennifer never considers Aunt Jennifer as his companion. Uncle Jennifer always considers Aunt Jennifer as his slave, and every time that is the reason he used to exploit Aunt Jennifer a lot, and never ever he used to encourage Aunt Jennifer related with her creativity in terms of embroidery work. So let me continue. The word massive and heavily suggests Aunt Jennifer lives a demanding sort of life in which she has to attend to her husband's needs and fulfill his commands. Now, every time she has to be at the beck and call to perform all her husband's orders. Her life is trapped, and she is trapped in a unsuccessful marriage. The marriage is not a happy one, unhappy marriage. So she is trapped like a victim in this unhappy marriage. So let me continue. As a result, she is somewhat worn out in her old age. That is the reason she looks a bit faded, pale in appearance in her old age. Aunt Jennifer is ringed, trapped in her marriage, as I already told you, and controlled like an animal. And every time she was controlled like an animal by her husband. Her husband is her master, and she is her slave. Her wish to be like the tiger, proud and unafraid, also shows her fear in real life. But actually, she can't behave like the tigers. But she raised her voice indirectly by the created embroidery work, where, unlike her nature, the tigers are all courageous and fearless. Her wish to be like the tiger, proud and unafraid, also shows her fear in real life. What she can't be in real life, she projected the tigers to be exactly that. Tigers are fierce, courageous, and independent animals, and she forever her life seek independence, but she haven't got anything like that. They lead the life the way they want to. The tigers, they are unaware of any other things, least bothered about the human intervention. They are roaming around the forest in a and that shows their freedom. They can live in whatever way, they can move in whatever way. They are fierce, they are courageous. They can roam around the jungle in whatever way they feel like. She is quiet, coward, docile, and totally dependent on her husband. But actually, the creator herself, that is Aunt Jennifer, she is meek and mild. She is quiet, she is coward, she is docile, and totally she is dependent on her husband. She leads her life the way her husband likes for her. So tigers are an appropriate contrast to her. Now she is leading her life the way her husband actually tells her. And because she is all totally dominated by her husband, so she is leading her life the way her husband actually wants her to lead. And but the tigers were actually created by her. So her pent up opinions and feelings has been projected by her in her embroidery work. So the creator herself, she is meek and mild and coward and docile, but her created tigers, they are active, they are determined, they are chivalric, okay, they are free from any sort of fear. They move towards their goals with single mindedness. And another important thing is that they move towards their goal with simple mindedness. Now, dear students, I am moving on to the next paragraph. See, it is written, the tigers in the poem represent Jennifer's innermost desire. The tigers actually represents her desire that she failed to execute in a normal life, in her married life, but she was successful in executing it in the form of her embroidery work. In reality, she failed to execute it in her normal life, but she executed it in her created embroidery work. She wants to be strong like the tigers that do not fear the men. She wanted to be strong. She wanted to be strong like the tigers. And the tigers are not afraid of human beings. Like the beautiful animals in the jungle, she wants to create precious pieces of art. Like the animals in the jungle, like the beautiful creatures in the jungle, she wants to create precious pieces of art. Her life has been uncertain, helpless. We know that she is considered as a slave by Uncle Jennifer. So, from that perspective or from that context, her life is unfortunate. It is uncertain, it is helpless. Her husband is strong and her husband is fearless, but he is not chivalrous. Her husband is strong, her husband is fearless, but her husband doesn't know how to respect a woman. That is the reason her husband is not chivalrous. So she finds courage, justice, and honor in the smooth movement of the tiger. So ultimately, in her created embroidery work, in the smooth movement of her tigers, in the courageous way the tigers are moving around in the jungle, she ultimately finds justice, her long lost justice. She can't revolt against him on her own. Now, obviously, it is out of question for a meek, coward, docile, silent, who is to remain always silent wife like Aunt Jennifer. It is not possible for her to rise in revolt against her husband. It is not possible at all. In order to gain freedom, she must be like her tigers, but she actually can't. But at least she raised out her voice through her embroidery work that exposes her creativity with a social message. The word chivalric suggests her inner wish, that is, her husband should show bravery, honor, generosity, and good manners to her, like the knights in the Middle Ages did. But unfortunately, her husband never ever showed any such mannerisms in front of her. Only her husband used to torture and exploit her to the best of his ability, and that is what differentiates her husband from the medieval knights who used to respect and honor the ladies a lot. But a husband, he was made of a different stuff. She would like to go forward towards her aim like the determined tigers. Now, there is a message, as I already told you in her embroidery work. She wants to move forward like the determined tigers. Aunt Jennifer is portrayed as a nervous and fearful housewife, lacking inner conviction. Conviction means trust and faith, like the tiger she creates. Her tigers are very confident and courageous, but the creator, their creator, that is Aunt Jennifer, in reality, she is nervous and she is fearful and she doesn't have any confidence as such. She is domesticated and mastered by her husband. Her husband owns her. I already told you this has been a repetition of the thought, but concept, for the clearing of the concept, you have to know this thing again and again, that her husband used to consider her as a slave. She is domesticated, mastered by her husband, and it seems that her husband owns her actually. She is wife but is treated as slave and is controlled totally. She is a wife, she is actually his life partner, but every time she is uh, treated as a servant, and it seems that her husband always controls her. Her fingers flutter while in wool work. She is terrified with her husband, which shows inequality and injustice in her marriage. Now, she is always terrified. That is the reason when, in her leisure time, when she used to do the embroidery work, also, her finger used to tremble because she used to think at the back of her mind, uh, do my husband watching me at this time? So that fear, that trauma was always in her mind. This ultimately shows two things: injustice and inequality in terms of marital life or conjugal life. Marriage brings two people in an equal position in each aspects: justice, love, equality in behavior. But it seems that in the household dictionary of Aunt Jennifer, justice, love, and equality, these things doesn't exist, to be very honest. But here in this poem, Jennifer has become the victim of injustice. Yes, this is very true. Aunt Jennifer, ultimately she has become the victim of injustice. She feels the burden of duty and obedience. She, not only that, she feels the burden of duty and obedience also. This is shown by the symbol of the wedding ring that she wears, and even after that death also, she has to wear that when she will lie in the coffin dead, lifeless. This is shown by the symbol of the wedding ring that she wears. It is described as her husband's property. Uncle's wedding band. It has been specifically written by Adrenaline Rich. That is the name of the poet. That it actually represents the repressed way in which she is treated, and also represents the dominant patriarchal society, that uncle's wedding band. It is very symbolic. Her life with her husband is described as a life of ordeals. Every time she has to maintain order, and it seems that she can't have freedom. She can't have liberty or freedom on her own. The poem therefore provides a negative picture of marriage. Ultimately, it shows, not only it shows the repressed way in which the Aunt Jennifer was treated, but it also shows negative way. Marriage has been shown in a very negative manner. Now, dear students, I'm moving on to the penultimate paragraph. Aunt Jennifer loves to make designs of wool, as we all know by this time that he loves to do embroidery work. She creates an image of tiger in her work of art. The tiger is shown as bold, powerful, bright, independent, free, which metaphorically shows her innermost dream of being the same. Now she wanted to be like the tigers, free, powerful, bright, independent, but she can't be. That metaphorically or symbolically shows her innermost desire. The reality, on the other hand, is tough, it is bitter. She is tamed wife. She totally depends upon her husband, that we all know. She is merely a puppet and controlled by her husband, and Uncle Jennifer totally control her, and she is a mere puppet, and she is always controlled by her husband. Even she can't do whatever she likes. She can't do actually whatever she likes. In her husband's absence, she creates tiger, but she trembles of fear. Now she creates her embroidery work in her husband's absence, but her hands trembles in fear every time. The tiger she creates do not fear the men the aunt places under same tree in a tapestry. The tigers, they are fearless. As I already told you, they are least bothered of human intervention, but in reality, their creator, that is Aunt Jennifer, she is bothered about human intervention. The tiger she creates do not fear the men the aunt places under same tree in her tapestry. It seems that she creates a happier looking world than the one she lives in. Actually, she wanted to create a happier world where the animals, where the beast and the human beings, they can coexist in harmony, unlike the world in which she is living. That shows her vision, our progressive vision, that shows as a creator her progressive vision. Therefore, the imagery tigers produced by Aunt Jennifer live a type of proud and free life that she can only dream about. She can only dream about. Like the created tigers, her life can't be like that, but she can only dream about that, and she can create by her embroidery work. But in reality, her life won't be like that. Perhaps Aunt Jennifer uses art as an escape from her troubles. Yes, art as a medium of escape, or creativity as a medium of escape from the suffocating, chaotic life. And that is what we find here also in case of Aunt Jennifer. She wanted to escape from this tough life. That is the reason she used to do embroidery work whenever she gets a free time. In her artwork, Jennifer imagines the kind of life she would have liked. Now, through her creativity, she wanted to have relived a life where there will be a peaceful coexistence among everyone. But she imagined that to happen. But in reality, that never happened with her. But she created, through her created work, a peaceful coexistence among every living creatures. So that is it, dear students. Kindly go through this critical analysis. Kindly listen to whatever I explained in this critical analysis. Line by line explanation of the poem also I will do with you later. And if there is any doubt regarding this created critical analysis that I had explained, do let me know about it. Thank you, students. Thank you all.